one of the significant thinkers that basically shone light on storytelling for me was Joseph Campbell. But I had no idea.
Joseph Campbell? I think we might have some quotes from Joseph Campbell on some things that Zack Snyder has put out there. We got George Miller. Remember when George Miller was going to be doing a little Justice League movie called Justice League Immortal? And that was during 2008 when there was a writer's strike that happened then. The industry was the economy was kind of shit then too. So, let's face it. There's a bubble that's happening that's within the movie business right now, and that's about to burst, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, because it's definitely coming, it's definitely happening. But we have George Miller with a new interview that is basically he's talking about that Justice League Immortal movie and why he took upon himself to take on that task, and he had some interesting things to say about it, because some of the things that he has to say kind of relates to a certain other movie director that took on the Justice League movie. So I thought, you know what? I'll share that with you guys just in case you missed it.
You mentioned kind of like, the stance with other films that almost happened. And I don't know if we ever have talked about the Justice League film. It's one of those unrealized projects that will always be a fascination for me, to see what George Miller's Justice League would have been. What was in a nutshell, what was your fascination and excitement about taking on those characters?
Basically, I'm driven by curiosity, and the thing that sustains my curiosity is not only trying to figure out how to tell stories, but why we tell them.
Right.
And of course, one of the significant thinkers that basically shone light on storytelling for me was Joseph Campbell. But I had no idea.
Joseph Campbell? I think we might have some quotes from Joseph Campbell on some things that Zack Snyder has put out there.
Idea after we made it, why the first Mad Max seemed to have a lot of resonance around the world, until I read Joseph Campbell after the event. And then that led to Mad Max 2 and so on. And here I am still sort of doing it. So Justice League, I've always been interested in that. I've always now been aware of the power of myth, as Joseph Campbell, of stories, and how at any level, whether they're anecdotes between two people, your family stories about your local football team, your community, whether they're folklore, fairy tales, religious stories, all of those are basically timeless, and they are in all cultures. We're hardwired for them. And of course, the great attraction of the Justice League is that their roots go way back to the Greeks and the North.
It's exactly, can we get George Miller and Zack Snyder in a room just kind of talking about this stuff? Because it's almost like they are just like totally in sync of like how they wanted to portray these characters and talking about Joseph Campbell. My God.
Particularly the Greeks. And then and I'm so acutely aware of that sort of force in the world. And I thought, wait a minute, this is a continuum.
These stories are so in our bones that you can't.
In our bones, we are hardwired.
Yeah.
That's why cinema, despite all the prognostication that cinema, I think, will stay.
Yeah.
Simply because we need that shared experience somehow.
And it's in a way like, the callous way of talking about why we keep seeing reboots of Superman and Batman is money, but it's also because those stories have power, those myths, they are the modern myths.
They are, without question. And they're completely being reworked and recycled and reinterpreted according to the times.
Right.
They basically have new meaning in the zeitgeist. That's been the progression of stories throughout time. That's the thing that really blows me away. And I think, that's why I'm attracted to them so much. Yeah.
I can listen to that man talk forever. He just, I don't know, just something about, like, when I've been watching these interviews, He's got a love for cinema and he's got a love for storytelling, and the fact that I'm glad that somebody asked him about that Justice League Mortal movie, because I mean, when we saw the concept art, I mean, it did kind of look ridiculous. It was like, whoa, is this actually going to work? Because, you know, some of it looked kind of but at the same time, it is George Miller. I think it would have ended up working pretty damn well. You know, I wish I can travel to that freaking multiverse, that universe that movie actually does exist, because they were about to shoot. They had the entire cast, they had concept art, they had all the actors, and it would have been interesting, even though that group shot very much looks like it's the porn version of Justice League. Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, I'm just kind of going, it's still George Miller, though. I would have had faith. And kind of wondered like how that would have played out.